Hi, once again. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. We have a very special episode, not what we normally do. So this is an episode. This is a session which is meant to be interactive. So please, it's a short 30 minutes, and on a topic that is very relevant for all of us coaches. While I have, I'll always come prepared, and I'm always over prepared for these things. But I can, what will happen would purely depend on all of us, what we achieve together. So I need your help to kind of, take it deeper. And I have some thoughts on what it is to go beyond the topic, which is the objective prime. While the topic is presence-based coaching, we'll start with presence, but I'm more curious to explore together what is beyond presence-based coaching, right? That's my, I don't know, one of the bad habits, I would say, from a coaching practice point of view. And I'm always curious. It's coming from all unconditional, positive regard for the framework and the process. So the first question is to the audience. Uh, what is not presence based coaching? Let us start with that. Then we look at what is presence based coaching. You can put in the chat box in the interest of time because we just have 30 minutes. So one or two keywords about what is not presence based coaching. Then we look at what is presence based coaching. Then we'll see what is beyond that. And that's how I have planned this. Distracted, self-leaning, yeah. That is not presence-based, not here and now, absolutely. Yes. Anyone else? What else is not presence-based coaching? Yeah. Not in the moment, yes. Pre-planned, not in the moment, agenda-driven, yes. Uh, wandering mind, yeah, correct. Mindful versus mindful, yeah. So, you know, yeah, wandering mind. Uh, wherever the mind is in play, not having eye contact. Yeah, very basic, very elementary, right? When the eye contact is not provided to the client, that's also taken as a proof of not being present by the client. So how much ever we think that we are present, if you're not giving 100% contact, then it's a sure recipe for the client interpreting unconsciously that the coach is not with me. That's why we strictly say no notes, right? And all of us, including me, we have struggled with that in the initial stage. But it is magical when we realize that if you're just fully present and you're listening and just there fully partnering, then there is no need for notes. Yeah. So what is not coaching is when anything that is coach centric. I'm just compiling all this into one heading. So when it is all me as a coach, my ego driven, my need to demonstrate success, my need to prove that I'm a good coach, my need to justify the fee that I charge, right? All these are playing out mostly subconscious. So I'm assuming that as experienced credential coaches, we are very mindful of the cognitive distractions, but I am inviting you to consider what are subtle things. And some of the triggers that can happen where there is a conflict of values with the client, right? The client says something that conflicts with your values, something that you believe very strongly. Client can say, yeah, and it may not be unethical or it may not be illegal, but it's just a conflict of values. So, some of these things like we still struggle with, our generation still struggle with letting go people, right? I mean, we are not a parents' generation where we joined a company and retired or joined an organization, private or public, and retired. But still, there is something cultural about letting people go, which may not be the case in some of the other geographies. Yeah, very basic example. So anything that is coach-centric at a subtler level can be opposite to what is presence-based coaching. Again, at the cost of repetition, uh, be mindful of what are the subtle things. And that also can happen only if we are fully present, which takes us to what is presence based coaching. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind when we speak about presence based coaching, what comes to you as presence based coaching, and whose name comes to you? Right? There's one prominent name, a coaching guru, whose name is very prominently quoted. Yeah. So, what is presence based coaching? So, we have seen what is not presence based coaching. So, we'll spend some time on presence based coaching. Then we will look at what is beyond, which is my agenda at least. Yeah, Marcia Pick is right. Right. So, Marcia has popularized this quote that, uh, mastery in coaching is deepening presence. Now, in the context of this conversation, with all respect to her, that is not the end point. What I feel is that we have glorified that quote so much that is almost all that also has become a self-limiting belief. Yeah, I mean, she is not limited by that quote. Incidentally, for me, many of you would have heard me say this, nothing is a coincidence for me. I was just preparing for this yesterday. I looked up for something on ICO. I saw there is a conversation between Magda, the CEO, and Marcia. So, she speaks of two examples in that conversation. It's there on ICF YouTube, so you can check it out. She says, the client says, you have still not started coaching, but I got what I wanted. Yeah, something like that. So, without actually the client experienced coaching, the client got what the client wanted. Now, that is mastery, no? Yeah. And in other case, she says, I'm just picking up from my memory. She said she did a short session, and there were people challenging her on where did you demonstrate all the competencies? Yeah. And there's a third example. This is very personal. There's a coaching demo by her by some platform. I don't know. I think it was coaching.com. So, it started and I just shared it in our community. Naturally, many of them joined because it was Marcia coaching. So I was watching, I was getting one-to-one messages saying that, is that not a leading question? Is Marcia listening? Is Marcia present? So I just had one response to all of them saying that just focus on Marcia's coaching. Let us not evaluate it. For me, that is going beyond presence. So, the challenge that we may not be aware of is where we have kind of put a line on presence-based coaching as the ultimate truth. Now, that is still, you are fully present. You are serving the client. For me, that can still be coach-centric. Yeah. So if I am fully present, I think I am coaching at a mastery level. It is still my need to demonstrate that mastery. It is still my need to demonstrate, that quality of coaching to the client. And I'm sure that is not what Marcia means for sure. Yeah. So as long as it is my need as a coach to demonstrate that presence-based coaching, it is still coach-centric. Yeah. So don't make the presence-based coaching as a limiting factor, limiting belief. It is just a pit stop, yeah, not the end. And again, I'm still reminding ourselves, let us still be curious about what state I'm operating from. Very often, I think that I am coaching at a mastery level, but that need to demonstrate mastery is the worst coach-centric approach to coaching, which is not client-centric. Yeah. Now, moving from a coach-centric to client-centric is also not mastery. Yeah, your presence-based coaching in a way that is supporting the client unconditionally. The whole thing around unconditional positive regard that we all are very fond of, right? Including me. Even that extreme unconditional positive regard for the client as a proof or demonstration of mastery is still not the highest level. Let me say that it's not a high level of mastery. It is still a low level of consciousness. because it is still my need to demonstrate to the client that I am giving unconditional positive regard. There is this popular clip which I keep, I've saved it somewhere, and this is from the Dil Dhadakne Do movie. I mean, those of you who have seen Hindi movie, where Farhan Akhtar challenges Rahul Bose that you still have to permit, you know, uh, his wife, I don't get her name, uh, to do business or to do work, right? So, he's saying, Rahul Bose's husband is saying that I still allowed my wife to do what she wanted, but he was still allowing. So, similarly, uh, giving a lot of freedom to the client is not partnering. So that is subtle difference between coach centric, client centric, and partnering. And again, some of you are familiar with this. I always draw this golden triangle. The base is the coach and the client. Any play at the bottom between the coach and the client is a low level of consciousness. So don't romanticize just pure presence based coaching as my need to demonstrate mastery. And don't romanticize that presence based coaching. So the question is always what is it at a higher level of consciousness in the service of the client beyond even what the client would have thought of. And that is what I really truly want to spend next 5-10 minutes. So any question or any alternate point of view, any comment, anything that is not resonating, I'm willing to be challenged. And if I'm not making sense, yeah, anyone. You can unmute and speak, or you can. I know I'm not the expert here, so in any alternate point of view or anything that does not resonate. Do you all agree with me? Which means, yeah, Mani.
Just a kind of, I don't know whether it's sounding like a contradiction, but it
Please,
sounded
please.
to me when you said that the coach is fully present.
Mm.
And in that space also, we are talking about the need to demonstrate. So
Mm.
doesn't that mean that actually coach is not present?
Exactly. Exactly. As long as it is a coach-centric approach to presence, it is not absolute presence. And that is a mistake we often make. Right? And see, to really evaluate that kind of presence, both of us are PCC assessors. Not easy, money as assessors for us, right? But the client knows sitting in front of the coach whether it is online or in person. So the underlying point that I'm making here is it's about the mindset. So coach centric is anyway out of the window. It is not even coaching. Client centric is a coach's need to demonstrate that support and allowing the client to walk away with it. And for me, if I can bring a favorite topic among coaches today, the AI. AI can do both these two better than us. But what technology or AI cannot do is partnering at a higher level. So I know what is beyond presence-based coaching. It is mindset. Now again, I'm not playing with words, right? If you have to elevate it to the next level, then it has to operate from a state of mindset where the client is not concerned about the performance. The client is willing to let go. The coach is willing to let go, and there is zero performance pressure. Now we all think there is no performance pressure. But evaluating pretty much every conversation, we can sense there is a performance pressure. 10 out of 10, not even 9 out of 10. It's a recording where you have to demonstrate competencies, understood, but still at a PCC, MCC level, we should be able to transcend that. And that can come from mindset. So what the point that I want to build on Mani's point is also that what we think we assume as mastery very often is not mastery. The client knows it. Forget about the assessor. The client can pick up that that the client doesn't interpret it as mastery or uh, presence based or mindset, right? How does the client interpret? The client says the coach doesn't get it or the coach doesn't care, right?
So, Subhash, would it be fair to say that not even trying to be present?
Yeah.
That's the space. I mean, I don't know. Is that what you're pointing towards, and consciously not even trying to do that, and just being there. And the other thing is, then when we say not client centric, not coach centric, maybe not even process centric, not centered on anything.
100%. 100%. So that Marcia, thank you for that. One is, anyway, the word trying, anyway, we also tend to overreact to that word trying. Trying to be present is also is an effort, is an effort on the part of the client, doesn't work. So anything that I need to try to do, try to achieve, try to demonstrate, which is a doing, right? Just to introduce another framework, for me it is about doing to being. All in the realm of doing is coach centric, even when we think that we are giving absolute service to the client. So any trying is not coaching. Now going about the if you listen to that interview Marcia has with Magda, I'm sure. I'm very curious about that coaching conversation. The observer who raised that query is not able to specifically pull out the competencies. Where is the demonstration of competencies or markers? Was the question to her. But she's very sure that I embody that framework. So she's very sure that I'm demonstrating it. Go back and check, she says. And that is, going beyond the process. So if I have to think, okay, I'm asking 3.1, okay, I'm reconfirming 3.1, then I'm asking 3.2. At the beginning, we say that think of 3.1 only at 3.1 stage. Don't think of anything else. Then reconfirm, then go to 3.2. But then can that happen naturally when you just sit for a conversation? That is mastery. And that precisely is mastery. And it doesn't come easily. I can guarantee you 5,000 hours plus, I can say. Yeah. But I know we do experience in real life clients, there is no pressure to demonstrate, unlike in a demo, in an unknown circle or a demo in front of our own learner coaches, for example, right? People whom we know, who are our friends, fellow coaches. But when you're doing it with a real life client, the client is more focused on the goal and exploring, thinking, and all that. So there you will be able to experience that without thinking about the process. I'll flow organically, and that is flow state, right? The whole concept around flow state by the Russian author Mikhail is all about that. Yeah, that is going beyond. Shweta, you're unmuted. Anything you want to say?
I wanted to ask you about that because what I'm hearing is I mean it actually is beyond any, like Mani said, beyond any centered around anything. So it has to be that being which really can't be described in words. It
Yes.
is something that you be in the moment, which even like you said cannot be demonstrated. So I was just wondering, and it's not easy, and I believe it's a very each person's specific approach comes with practice, comes with you you also talk about the spiritual quotient, right? And I know that's a whole different topic. But if I look at what spiritual or what being means to me, um, and what I can be, including and being the space of unconditional positive regard, just being that in the moment. I was just wondering, how does one, proceed on that path when you are where you are, pursuing a PCC or at ACC level, getting into PCC, 300 hours, 500 hours? How does one, you know, at least follow that path? What can one do?
Yeah. So there's a lot of hard work that is necessary to achieve that space for sure. There is no shortcut also. And it is it goes beyond the competency framework of ICF or any other school, and also all the preparation of exam and submission of recording. It has to transcend that for sure, but it is still building on that foundation. So if I have to try and I did think through what are the ways, how can I move from that doing to that being. Let me put it that way. What are the three, four steps for doing to being? See, the first one is lot of self work. Now, if we just look around, if we look at ourselves within, one good question to ask is how much of self work I have done. And it is very specific to each one of us. And it doesn't matter how accomplished we are, how unaccomplished we are, from a worldly sense. It doesn't matter age or experience. Nothing. At a soul level, we all are same. Absolutely, we are same. So from that point of view, what are those baggages that I need to get rid of? And unless we work on ourselves, I don't think we can truly be fully present for the client. Now I'm moving from a present-based coaching to a capital P to make a distinction. I'm fully present like a monk, right? With that unconditional, instead of even positive regard, unconditional spiritual love for the client. So the first one is the self-work, and the 100 hours part of it we do anyway, reciprocal peer coaching. Then 500 hours part of it we continue to do reciprocal peer coaching, even the 2500 hours. All the reciprocal coaching is also an option to explore, what are those things that I am holding on to, what are the areas that I need to work on. And you know having mentored 500, close to 600 now, we are closer to 600 than 500 coaches. I can say that we are not working on ourselves enough. I'm highlighting this because when I, you know, in a way, meditated upon what is that one silver bullet to make that shift, it came very strongly repeatedly that self work, self work, self work, nothing else. Right? That is the number one. The second one is the reflective practice. So today, what we are doing is we are practicing, but how much of it is truly reflective? So, those who are from our school would know. We always say that before every reciprocal practice sessions, surely go through the competencies and the markers. After the session, just take 5 minutes to check, did I do all, did I take most of the key competencies? And you'll be surprised that I missed a 3.4 or I missed a 8.4. If there is no 3.4, what are you going to explore about the underlying belief and bias and values and needs? Now that's the purpose of 3.4. If you're not asking 8.4, where else will you apply? Then we are not tapped into the potential of coaching. We have just stayed with the client agenda of that symptom or the topic that the client brought in. We have not gone beyond that. So if there is no 8.4, where is action? Right? Similarly, 3.4. So it helps to, the second point for me is to look at what are the areas that, what are the competencies I'm missing. In the session, we should not think. It's okay in the session you miss, right? Even if you're sending a great conversation for evaluation, you miss a key competency. Now, we are told to look for a demonstration of the competency. So the extra work is on us to listen again and see has the client tick the competency. That's on us. So don't worry about that. So if you truly move from a conscious competence to unconscious competence in terms of the framework and the competency, it will happen. Now the third one is, elementary. Yeah, I mean, you will laugh at this, but for me, are we improving in our wellness quotient? Are we getting better in terms of our health parameters? Are we better? We are not growing younger. That is no excuse. There is still ways to, I'm not talking about reverse aging. We are still away from it, I guess, at least in this part of the world. But can we still work on our wellness? And again, Marcia speaks of physical, mental, emotional, creative wellness, and I always add spiritual wellness to that. If you're not getting fitter, then I don't think we can be fully present for the client. Because again, I draw a lot of inspiration from Sadhguru, Isha Sadhguru's quote: "The toughest asana to do is to sit still." And just try sitting still, we'll know, how fit we are. And I've shared in our community, there have been coaches in reciprocal demo session, people have quit smoking. People have promised to come out of insulin. People have said, I want to remove the glasses and read without glasses. right? In demo, people have set such audacious goals and worked on them. Many of them are successful, right? Quit smoking is a very easy thing, which is not easy for a person who's been smoking for ages, right? So the point is, if we can prioritize health, then absolutely, half the battle is won. And that health is also about the quality of sleep, the quality of the diet, and also the amount of time we are spending on meditation. Are we doing anything? Somebody said mindful to mindful. What are we doing to move from mindful to mindful? And how much time we need? I mean, somebody might need 20 minutes minimum, somebody might need 1 hour, but are we giving that to quieten our mind? If we are not stilling that mind, how can we be present? No, I shared this quote from my guru. It's in the depth of silence that voice of God can be heard. If you're not tapping into intuition, there is no coaching. The highest form of coaching is CC2, which ICF speaks of intuition. If you're not tapping into intuition, then where is it? So, the fourth and final point, Shweta, is what does it take me to tap into intuition? And that again differs from person to person. And we generally say that ladies are more intuitive than men. No, nothing like that. We all are intuitive. Yeah. So it's important that we build that intuitive muscle. And CC2 demonstration happens through an intuitive approach to coaching. Let me put it that way. If you're not able to come up with something in the session, which is I think 7.4, you tell the client, this is what is coming up to me. Do I have your permission to share? And the client is, pleasantly surprised. I never thought of it. 7.4, right? PK, you keep quoting about that. So if you are able to offer, a thought, a feeling, or a idea, a concept that is emerging in the moment, which is coming across as an intuition, and 9 out of 10 times client is accepting as something powerful, that's where you're tapping into intuition. And that doesn't happen from the first session. It takes time to build that muscle. Yeah, Shweta, so those are the 4 steps. Anything else you would say? Otherwise, I have a fifth one, which I've, you know, which again is something which is commonly discussed but least practiced. Yeah, the fifth one for me is reflective journaling. If you are not journaling every day, we are not reflective. If you are not reflective in our coaching practice, we are not building that coaching muscle. So, do I have to sit and journal? I don't think there is anything better way of being reflective. 7.5. Yes, thanks, PK. So, reflective journaling is a must do. And, again, nothing is a coincidence. I'm going to share, I'll request Sonia to share this via, when we share the recording. See, I came across this article, Keeping a Journal in Speaking Tree. It's not a merely habit, it's an act of quiet rebellion against life clockworking by. Such a beautiful line. In a world obsessed with broadcasting, podcasting, forecasting, and typecasting, so beautiful. Keeping a journal is an inward act where you double as both creator and consumer. No, I had this thought and I put it also in the social media saying that be first a creator before you become consumer of content. Right? Here also they are saying become being a creator and then a consumer. So if you're not doing journaling, then are we being reflective? And I don't think the good old pen and paper, I don't think there is anything better. Yeah. Any question? And then it's 7 at the top of the hour. Any question before we wrap up in the next couple of minutes? Any alternate question point of view? Especially those who are not from our school. I can see some faces here, unfamiliar faces.
Subash, I mean, it's not a question, it's just a thought. You're talking about going beyond beyond presence. So is it something similar to in sport, they talk about being in the zone?
Yes.
Yeah, being in the zone. So, in sport, if you were to look at it, I don't know if you watched the movie F1.
Not yet.
Yeah,
I'm
what's
watching
it?
Stick on
Okay.
Apple.
Okay. So
With
in
God.
F1, in Brad Pitt towards the end, he describes how when he's driving, sometimes, occasionally, he gets into it when he's one with the card, and everything else is he doesn't notice. So, so this thing about going beyond the presence, is that something which, like, even the sports people, they're not always in the zone. They occasionally they get in the zone and they're really good. So is that how it is, or are you talking about being consistently in the?
Yeah. For me, I'll give another sporting example. Virat Kohli had that magical innings against Pakistan
Yeah,
in the Middle East, right?
right.
After that, he has not done that. So what does
Yeah,
it take for even one of the greatest like Virat to repeat that more often than one off, right? And that it is less probable, perhaps in a sporting arena, more probable in a coaching space, and that is something more achievable because I think almost 100% is within us. Because it's about my self work that will blossom into a mastery in coaching, and that is what is Jugalbandi, salsa, or the flow state. And my concern, most of your friends here, so I'll not sounding judgmental. My concern is also that we are again going too much exam oriented for credential. We are going too credential oriented. We are not going beyond that. And we will be pulling down coaching as a practice instead of elevating if you're just focusing on exam. People are conducting programs to clear the exam. Now this is like quota of IIT or other tuitions, right? No, that doesn't work in coaching. Nothing against IIT JEE. Yeah, I flunked in JEE, so I'm not even qualified to comment. But I'm saying the point is, if you're going to parameterize the framework into clearing exams and clearing the recording alone, then we'll be stuck there. And that is not why ICF has that framework or there is any other coaching framework. And that's where the self-work comes. And that's what CC2 mindset comes. See, ICF is still figuring out what is CC2. But they talk about mindset, they talk about intuition. I think we have enough to build on. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, Subhash, Priya here. I have a question. I heard you use the word self work a couple of times, and I heard you talk about reflective practice, meditation, journaling. These are some of the things that you do for self work. Just from your own experience, what else do you think gets you there in terms of self work?
Yeah, see, I do all of this, including a yoga, and I also, my friends here know, I'm learning Carnatic music. I'm a very bad bathroom singer, right? So, but still, I'm learning Carnatic music because there is something in this music. It seems, this Ida Pingala glands, right? There's something that works on that. It works on chakras, both with yoga also. I just read today evening even for diabetic patients, yoga is better than walking. Both are very good, but yoga because there's something about relaxation, breathing, and asanas, right? Not just diet and walking. So hobbies is something that we glorify in our community. If I don't have a hobby to escape to, quote unquote, then is that even a quality of life that I'm enjoying? Right? So it differs from person to person, but these 4 5 items that I listed are pretty much common, including the physical wellness or health and mental wellness. So if I see somebody gaining weight over a period of time when we meet, vis-a-vis getting fitter, I think then we are not working on ourselves. That is elementary, If I'm becoming obese and gaining weight, then how does the chakras work? How does intuition work? So those 5 things that I said are elementary. Then we need to look at something like hobbies and other things that will keep us creatively, sharp. Marcia speaks about creative wellness in her work. That's right. Does it answer?
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
And for all of us, again, it is about being accountable to ourselves, being mindful that I commit to something, then I stick to it. That's all. Right, and find ways. Like I continue with my yoga teacher. He is more an accountability partner than he is teaching me any new things, and he knows I know, and both of us are comfortable with that. It works for me, so he's also fine with that. Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
he's also coach, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, so find way. The conversation doesn't end here. We are talking about doing to being, a deeper presence to serve the client, but at the same time, be obsessed with building that intuitive muscle within us, so that the client is, every session, the client is moved, is influenced by the impact. When we did this session in Bangalore, somebody asked, will every session be transformative? I think the simple answer was yes. If I don't set an intent and go to the session that this is also going to be a masterpiece without any pressure in the session, we are not coaching to a full potential. And all that is a self work outside the practice. Thank you. Thanks, Shramik. Thanks everyone for joining. All of you. We'll continue the conversation. Hope to see you on the next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Subash.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much.